Hey guys, it's Damian Lupo here at the eQRP company. Have some new ideas and insights into the CARES Act, some ideas for ways that you guys can tap into your eQRP, 401ks, IRAs, some really cool things that just happened with the CARES Act. Now, this isn't going to be really a big political thing. This is just going to be an informational thing. I'm going to give you some information on how you guys can get access to up to $200,000 from your retirement accounts. Now, there's two different things that happened when the CARES Act was passed and President Trump signed it into law on the 27th of this month, March. First off, you now have the ability to pull up to $100,000 out of your account with a disbursement. Normally, if you do that and you're under age 59 and a half, there's a 10% penalty. No penalty. So you don't have a 10% penalty. If you're lucky enough to live in Puerto Rico, that means no taxes, no penalty. You can just take it out at any age. Pretty awesome, up to $100,000. You have two options with this disbursement. One, if you just want to keep it and use it for your business, do whatever you're doing, you have 3 years to pay the taxes. Okay, so 3 years to pay the taxes in thirds. So 21, 22, 23, you have to pay it back. You have to pay the taxes. And the other option is you can pay it back over the next 3 years, no taxes. So it kind of looks like a loan if you pay it back. Pretty good option to be able to get an interest-free loan out of your retirement account. Now, many of you are used to, if you have a 401k or an eQRP, you're used to the ability to have a $50,000 loan. This is where you borrow $50,000 and you can pay it back over 5 years. That changed as well. Now it's $100,000. It used to be $50,000 or 50% of your account, whichever was less. So if you had $70,000, you could only borrow $35,000. Now it's up to $100,000, up to all of it. So you can borrow that. And then instead of paying it back over 5 years, you actually don't have to pay anything for the first year in terms of payments. Normally you have to make payments either monthly or quarterly. Now you can do it starting in 2021 and then have a 5-year amortized loan, which means you have 6 years to pay it back. These two together, one other thing about the loans, if you already have a loan, you can add this onto that. So if you have a $25,000 loan outstanding, you can add another $75,000 to that 25. You also don't have to make any interest payments, amortized payments, no payments this year. So if you already have a loan and you're scheduled to make a payment next week, you don't have to make it. You're good. You literally got an extra year to be able to delay. These two things give you the ability to borrow up to $200,000 and then get it back into your plan. Very little interest. The interest payment on your loan, if you have an eQRP, you get to choose it. This could be very, very low single digits because we're in a very low interest rate environment. You've got options. The last thing is the RMDs, required minimum distributions. They're stopped for 2020, so you don't have to take any of those. This is nice if you, for whatever reason, didn't want to take them, didn't want to add them into your taxable income. It's not a huge thing for most of us, but it's there. It's one of the changes. These two things are huge, where you can actually tap into your money and get access to it. The other thing is there were a lot of opportunities to get access to money from the SBA, the Small Business Administration. There's going to be a link here for the document that goes over the options there and who's qualified. It's people that have businesses, people that are independent contractors. If you're self-employed, you basically have an option to borrow money. And if you use that for your business, there's an opportunity to be able to have it forgiven, which is a pretty great thing. The interest rate on the loans looks like it's 0.5%. You have 2 years to pay it back unless it's forgiven. So this is pretty cool. I mean, you can, as an independent contractor, if you're a one-person operation, there's up to $100,000 in your income, plus your rent, plus your debt payments that you can ask for 2.5 times. I believe it's 2.5 times your monthly. So if you have $100,000 of income that you're like your net income, that's $8,000 a month approximately. And then you have rent and you have your debt payments. It's a whole month of that, and then multiply it by 2 or 2.5 times, and that's what you can borrow. Now, if you have employees, it's your payroll plus your debt plus your mortgage or rent payment. So you take that and multiply it by 2.5 times. The document's going to give you the exact information on what you can do. Here's the bottom line. If you're stalled out or you're stuck or you're impacted by the coronavirus, you've got options. The Congress just passed a $2 trillion stimulus package that will likely not be the last one in 2020 to keep the economy from imploding. And it's right there. Now, I would recommend you take a look at the consequences of it, because you're going to have to prove that you used the money for business activities to have the money forgiven. The lender that you end up borrowing the money from is going to make the decision. They have like 60 days once you apply for the forgiveness. And so you have to make sure that if you just go spend it on a bunch of stuff that's not business, it looks like it's not going to be able to be forgiven. You're still going to owe it. You're going to have a couple of years to pay it. So be careful about borrowing the money. Make sure that you're using it for the right things. If you have employees, you need to make sure you have the equivalent full-time employees still on the payroll 12 months from now. So there are some rules and there's some strings attached. Take a look at that. Be careful. Be conscious about it. There's some huge opportunities to tap into a whole bunch of money, both in your retirement account and with the Small Business Administration. I believe it was $350 billion that was earmarked out of this bill to go to the Small Business Administration for you guys. Hope that helps. If you have any questions, please put them below or shoot me an email, support@eqrp.co, and I'll get right back to you. And as always, thanks for paying attention, and thanks for taking responsibility for your life. See you guys soon.